This is the Barry Richards Show. WBSM On Demand.
Without further ado,
WBSM presents The Barry Richards Show. Streaming live on WBSM.com and the WBSM app. Call 508-996-0500. Text us using App Chat on the WBSM app. Now, The Barry Richards Show.
Talk to God when I need a favor, and I only pray when I ain't got a prayer. So who the hell am I? Who the hell am I to expect a savior? Oh, if I only talk to God when I need a favor, God, I need a favor. I know amazing grace, but I ain't been living them words.
Welcome to the program. 16 minutes after 12 noon. It is a Wednesday, bright sunshine. A little bit cooler today than yesterday, but nice nonetheless. For mid-April, we'll take it. Actually, it's still, I guess, kind of early April, right? The 9th of April. And thank you to those who sat in this chair while I was away. I believe Ken and Brian split the duties. I may be wrong on that, but I wasn't here, so I wasn't listening. And but whoever it was who sat in this chair while I was gone, thank you for doing that, because it allows me to get away every now and then. And I certainly appreciate that, just as most people do, right? All right, let me just ask right from the get-go here for your patience today. I'm breaking in some new hearing aids. And there may be a period or two where you might hear a little squelching on the air. It's very different from what I had. And so I will work quickly to adjust. You know how it is when you have a speaker, right? If you're on stage and you have a speaker, or maybe you're at a dance or whatever, and the speaker gets too close to the microphone, and you get that kind of feedback. It's the same thing, same concept with hearing aids and the microphone. So it takes a little bit of a process. So you might hear that a little bit today while we work to work things out. But in the meantime, hopefully we won't, and hopefully everything will go nice and smoothly. But great to be back. Always good to get away, and but it's always good to get back too. And I will be perfectly honest with you, I didn't really stay in touch with much while I was away. I was out on the West Coast, and I was in Nevada in California for a few days, about a week. And I did hear about the big earthquake that rocked the East Coast here, New Jersey, right into the South Coast. I heard about that. That actually made news out there. And it was funny, I was in California at the time of the earthquake, and I said, gee, I'm left Massachusetts, and I'm out in California, no earthquake here, but there's an earthquake back home. Paid $7 for a gallon of gasoline, $7 for a gallon of gasoline in Furnace Creek, California. And that was a bite. That was a bite, no question about it. And wow. Come back and find the gas station on the corner near my house went up 10 cents a gallon while I was gone to $3.39. This morning, poking through the news wires and the newspapers, consumer price index up in March compared with the previous month, compared with 12 months earlier. The index is up 3.5%. Economists had forecast a 0.3% increase in the month-to-month figures and a 3.4% rise over 12 months, but it was 0.4% in March and 3.5% year-to-year. Core inflation, which excludes food and energy, rose 0.4% for the month, matching the prior month and higher than the 0.3% expected. Compared with a year ago, core inflation is up 3.8%, also beating expectations and matching the February figure. When the consumer price index jumped higher in January, many analysts said it was likely a seasonal anomaly, and forecast inflation would soon start falling again. After 3 months of hotter than expected inflation, that is no longer a plausible interpretation, and it is very likely that hopes for an interest rate cut are being dashed by all of this. Nationwide average price for a regular gallon of gasoline, 6-month high, $3.60 a gallon on Tuesday, spiking more than 50% under Joe Biden. In the past month, gas prices rose more than 20 cents. They are over $1 more expensive than when Trump left office. Gas prices remain high and could go higher due to industry and political factors. Biden's economic war on American energy independence during instability in the Middle East and Ukraine are significant factors. And, here's the thing. Biden, when he was facing the last election, drained the strategic, or after when he was facing the midterm election, drained the strategic reserve. Can't do that now because it's not up to the top. So you can't go to that well anymore. Pun definitely intended. According to Goldman Sachs, gas prices could reach $4 a gallon by May. But don't be too surprised if you see $5 a gallon or more at the gas pump, if you're not paying that much already. Charlie Blaine from Street wrote on Monday. So inflation, gas prices, both skyrocketing again. Well, Biden is out there talking about the economy and how wonderful the economy is and how stupid you are because you don't realize how good the economy is. And Biden and Liz Warren and the others out there lambasting supermarkets, accusing the supermarkets of gouging you. It's their fault. Prices are high in the supermarket. It's their fault. Now, not their fault. Supermarket's fault. Not the Biden administration's fault, though. Interesting comment, former White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain. This was a story that was on Fox News Digital this morning. A former White House Chief of Staff Ron Klain blasting Biden for not focusing on key issues like inflation and grocery prices. In leaked audio, Klain is reported to have said reported to have been heated in talking about Biden's focus on infrastructure, saying there is, quote, too much talking about bridges and not enough about eggs and milk, according to Politico. I think the president is out there too much talking about bridges, Klain reportedly said in the audio. He does 2 or 3 events a week where he's cutting a ribbon on a bridge. And here's a bridge. Like I tell you, if you go into the grocery store, you go to the grocery store and you know eggs and milk are expensive. The fact that there is a bleepity-bleep bridge is not, and then the final word is inaudible. He's not a congressman. He's not running for Congress, Klain continued. I think it's kind of a fool's errand. I think that it also doesn't get covered that much because, look, it's a blankety-blank bridge. Like it's a bridge. And how interesting is the bridge? It's a little interesting, but not a lot interesting, said Klain. So Biden focused on the wrong things. I think Biden is focused on one thing that could help him get elected, and that's the abortion issue. We're going to get into that a little bit because I can't believe I've been in this business almost 50 years. And for the entire length of my tenure in this business, abortion has been it's right there in the forefront. I can remember breaking into this business, interviewing congressional candidates and talking about abortion, asking them about abortion. It was back in the late 70s, mid to late second half of the 70s anyway. Not long after Roe versus Wade. And here we are, 2024, still talking about abortion. And abortion will play a pivotal role in this election. I told you it would, and it's going to. Certainly the economy and certainly crime and certainly the border. Those are all important issues. You remember, all of these issues were important issues in the midterms. And everybody was forecasting a big red wave. And then what happened? All of a sudden, Roe versus Wade decision came out. And it wasn't even the decision so much that threw everything up in the air. It was the leak that the decision was going to come out. And then eventually the decision did come out. And here we are. Arizona Supreme Court ruling on abortion this week. We'll get into that a little bit more, but there are those who think that this could actually be a tide turner for Biden. But back on the economy just a little bit, because I wanted to let you know that this morning, the University of Massachusetts Board of Trustees has voted to, just this morning, to raise tuition at UMass by 2.5%. So in addition to your milk and your eggs and your bread and your gasoline, get ready to dig deeper for tuition. The University of Massachusetts has taken a step toward hiking tuition and room and board charges for next year. Some trustees said today the proposed increases are not high enough. And one said the status quo would be equivalent to, quote, running the institution into the ground. Running the institution into the ground. The UMass Board of Trustees Committee on Administration and Finance voted unanimously today to increase the tuition for in-state undergraduates by 2.5% for the 2024-2025 academic year to $17,006, adding $415 to the bill of a student at the flagship Amherst campus and slightly less at the Boston, Dartmouth, and Lowell campuses. The full board is scheduled to vote to confirm the tuition and fee increases next Wednesday. Last year, the board also approved a 2.5% increase for the 2023-24 academic year. Out-of-state undergraduates at UMass Amherst are facing a 3% increase in tuition. It's a $1,156 adjustment to their $39,693 tuition. The system's 3 other undergraduate campuses will implement a 2.5% increase for out-of-state students. Graduate students at Amherst, Boston, and Lowell campuses will see a 2.5% rise in their tuition, while the committee voted to raise the Dartmouth tuition for graduate students by only 1%. Room and board costs also rising. Students at the Amherst campus will see a 4.5% increase to $16,128. And the Boston, Dartmouth, and Lowell campuses will have room and board fees increased by 2.3%, 3.6%, and 3.7% respectively. The net revenue from the tuition and fee adjustments is projected to be $10 million, according to UMass, only partially offsetting projected expense increases related to wage, health insurance, financial aid, and student support cost increases. UMass says that its efforts to centralize procurement and other administrative functions has saved $120 million over the last few years, contributing to its ability to hold tuition adjustments below inflation. The average annual tuition increase over the last 5 years was 1.5%, and if you use Consumer Price Index, CPI, over that same period was 4.3%. Some trustees said today that continuing to hold tuition increases below the rate of inflation is not sustainable, and they argued for increases in the 3.5 to 4% range instead. What I'm going to talk about is about a $10 million increase in revenue in light of the atmosphere of the following. There is no more money coming out of the State House for the next 2 years, from what I hear, due to the immigration problem. Number 2, you're in the environment of $90,000 private education, Trustee Bob Epstein said. He added, we've got to catch up, and if we keep going, take the CPI against our rising costs, eventually you're going to be faced with an even tougher financial challenge ahead. So Board of Trustee Bob Epstein says no additional money for UMass coming out of the State House because of the illegal immigration crisis, which means that you have to pony up more for your kid's tuition. So if you've got a kid going to UMass Dartmouth, or maybe Amherst, or maybe the college up in Boston or whatever, you've got to pay more, according to this trustee, over the next 2 years because the state is committing so much money to the illegal immigrant crisis that it doesn't have enough money to give to UMass to try to keep the tuition rates down. So already you're paying for hotels, food, medical, that's $64 a day the illegal immigrants are eating with. And now you're going to pay more for tuition. What did I say, 3.6%? 2.5% for tuition, 3.6% room and board, because the state is shifting its spending priorities to the illegal immigrant shelter crisis instead. So this is getting more and more expensive by the day for you, isn't it? Every time Biden's border crisis and Maura Healey's border crisis spills into Massachusetts, your tab goes higher and higher and higher. Oh, by the way, according to the Massachusetts Teachers Association, Massachusetts trails other states in public higher education faculty salaries. Ooh, okay. When adjusted for the cost of living, Massachusetts is trailing other states in public higher education faculty salaries. MTA, Massachusetts Teachers Association, a report that the union is using as a lobbying tool to get more money for the teachers at the Massachusetts colleges, such as UMass. The results did not surprise me, but that doesn't mean we weren't deeply dissatisfied with the current information, said Max Page, president of the MTA. It's worse at the community colleges. There's a gap of around $40,000 between California community college faculty and Massachusetts community colleges, and those are both two of the highest cost states. I would say the starkness of that gap is striking. Bay State ranked last at an average $68,324 in community college salaries adjusted for the cost of living. The next lowest was Vermont, which paid its community college faculty an average of $83,612. Michigan paid the highest average salary of $137,311 for its community college educators. Massachusetts was also in last among the states the MTA chose to compare salaries at public university systems. At the University of Massachusetts, faculty made an average of $110,291 in the 21-22 academic year, the report says. Michigan leads in this area, where their faculty makes an average of $168,219 adjusted for cost of living. And there you have it. 508-996-0500. Let's grab a couple of calls on the economy. You've got some other stuff. Want to get into the abortion thing, and we're going to do a little bit more of that, so stay with us. But you are first this hour on WBSM. Thanks for hanging on.
Hey, Barry. We have to ask one question about the abortion thing.
Yeah.
Who filed the lawsuit in Mississippi challenging the Hobbs decision? That would be the Democrats. When you look at it, Barry, if the 15-week abortion ban, in some sense, allies with what you see in most of Europe. In Europe, it varies from anywhere from 2 weeks to 20 weeks. You notice you don't see protests for abortion in Europe. You want to know why? Because those folks know that that's a minor issue. Energy, the economy, Ukraine, all those issues, the Gaza, that's where you see the protests the last 5 to 10 years in Europe. But you don't see the outrage and protests over abortion because it's a con. And that's the biggest con right now, that the Democrats are pushing on the entire country. It's like to break glass in case of a political emergency. That's what they're doing.
Well, exactly. And they have no other issues. I mean, 3 straight months of rising inflation. Again, gas prices up again. The border crisis, tuition going up in Massachusetts because there's not enough money with the immigration thing. So what else have they got?
It's like this, Barry. I asked these women who have row rage, I said, what's more important to you every day? Surviving, being able to feed your kids, work, drive to work, you get up paying your rent, pay your mortgage. You don't think about abortion every day, so why are you outraged? Well, it's health care. Well, if it's health care, or they should codify it, why didn't they do this when Obama was in office? Why wasn't this part of the ACA when they passed it? It's not, because Democrats in reality don't care about abortion. They're using it to program you to give them power. That's what this is all about. Well,
and the thing that people don't understand either, I mean, so you've got Biden and Harris out there saying if Trump wins, there's going to be a national ban on abortion. There cannot be a national ban on abortion. The Supreme Court has ruled that this is a state's issue. So Trump, first of all, Trump doesn't have the Republicans in the Senate and the Congress, but he can't do it anyway. I mean, because this is a states' rights issue. So we look at what happened in Arizona this week. All right. So the Arizona Supreme Court says, "Yep, we're gonna uphold this abortion law. This about 100 some odd years old, which pretty much bans most." You know what happens in a case like that? The folks in Arizona go to the polls and they vote those people out if they want to.
Or the legislature has already said they're going to correct that issue. But I can tell you right now, Katie Hobbs, the governor of Arizona, is not going to sign that bill because she will be told not to sign that bill. Because once she signs it, it restores the abortion rights to Arizona, and they lose the issue. And now they have to focus on the border, and they have to focus on the crime, and they have to focus on the energy and the economy and the food prices. And the Democrats don't want you to see that. It's like the cat chasing the red dot. Go chase the red dot. Ignore the real things that are going on. The Democrats in the Biden administration are destroying this country left and right. But they want you to focus on the abortion con because that allows them, it gives them more power because people vote emotionally, not with their pockets anymore. And that's a big problem.
And they're uninformed because, again, particularly here in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, the 2 states that we are most concerned about locally, there is never going to be a ban on abortion here. It just isn't going to happen. No. And so, you've got to, regardless of your thoughts about abortion, it's a state-by-state issue. And you're right. The economy, all of these things, day-to-day things that are killing you have to be your priority. The abortion debate is going to be taken on a state-by-state basis. And it's going to be up to the people. The people in the states can vote for those who share their views on abortion if they choose to. The national issues right now are most important. You want your kids to go fighting in Ukraine? Vote Democrat. You want your prices to continue to go up to the point where you can't afford to eat anymore or drive a car anymore? You want to lose your gas-powered cars and be forced to buy an $85,000 electric car? Well, vote Democrat. Trump's point, too, is a solid point here. Look, so he's getting hit by some of the pro-life groups, and he's getting hit by Mike Pence and everybody left and right here. Oh, he's getting soft on abortion. Now, Trump's point is, look, we have to win elections in order to change the culture in our country. If we keep losing elections, we can't do anything. We need to get in power. And sometimes when you do that, you have to be sensitive to other people's points of view. And then you can work out a compromise later on.
Yeah, Trump knows the game. He knows the game. Because this is an issue you sometimes have to paint the middle. And for years, before, I think, pre-2007, both parties agreed that there were some limits on abortion. It was the Democrats after Obama that became suddenly these radical thinkers that you can just abort a child after it's born. They pushed these crazy abortion policies, unfettered abortion, all this other stuff. And all the crazies have come out of the college. It comes from academia. That's really where it comes from. Quickly on Healy, I'm going to say this. The tuition rates are going up at UMass, Dartmouth, and other schools. I'm not shocked. This is just the beginning, folks, because the rich are fleeing the state, and they're selling all this money to the illegals, and they're going to start taking from other areas. It's going to start with the education, and then it's going to filter to other things like mass health. And they're going to start cutting things left and right. Some people are going to lose their health insurance. People are going to lose their benefits because of this. Because all she's doing is she's shifting all that money is being shifted to the care of the illegals, and it's ridiculous.
Absolutely is. Thank you, my friend. Good call as always. Appreciate it. 508-996-0500. Got to grab a break. We'll come right back after this.
Well, I know it's kind of late. I hope I didn't wake you. But what I've got to say can't wait. I know you'd understand.
And welcome back. 12:43 is our time on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday? What day is it? It's Wednesday. There we go. It is Wednesday. Absolutely is Wednesday. Hey, well, I was out in Vegas over the last few days. Had a chance to go to the Sphere. Have any of you been to the Sphere yet? I know you've probably seen it online or on the news or whatever. The Sphere is a giant, I don't know, for the lack of better description, a giant ball. It's kind of a lights up like a billboard, and you get to see all kinds of stuff on it. It's totally cool. U2 just did a concert residency out there. Didn't get to see U2. They had already folded and moved on. But there is a show inside. It's called Postcards from Earth. Okay. The imagery was spectacular. It's kind of like almost like a shouldn't have gotten involved in this because I don't know my terminology, my technological terminology, but it's like when you go to an IMAX theater and you're kind of immersed in the imagery. It's on that idea, but it's absolutely fabulous, and the sounds and everything really, really good. And I didn't care for the presentation. It was a climate change, political kind of thing. Who wants to see that on a Saturday night where you're out in Vegas? But the imagery of it was incredible, so it was well worth it. And before you go in, you spend an hour interacting with A1 robots. Is it A1? AI. Jeez, I'm telling you, my technology is. AI robots. And you talk to them and you interact with them. And I mean, that was so cool. We created an avatar of ourselves, and it was really, really something to see and something to do. But I don't know if you've been or if it's on your bucket list or whatever, but it was well worth the time. We enjoyed it very much. So hopefully you'll get a chance to see it at some point. All right, so we're looking at the clock here to make sure we got time. Into the abortion issue just a little bit here, because this is going to be a major issue. This is going to be the issue that the Biden administration hopes is going to carry it across the finish line. They've got nothing else. They've got a horrible economy. Inflation is out of control again. Gas prices are up. Food prices. Everything is bad. Interest rates are way up, not coming down anytime soon. The border is out of control. I just told you here the board of, a subcommittee of the board of UMass trustees today voting unanimously to raise tuition and room and board again at all of the UMass campuses in Massachusetts. The board will take a final vote on that next week. And one trustee member this morning saying, look, there's just no more money coming from the legislature to pay for increasing costs here because of the immigrant crisis. So the immigrant crisis, that is Joe Biden and Maura Healey's immigrant crisis, is now your immigrant crisis. And you've got food, you've got gas, you've got rent out of control. And now your tuition for your kid is going up again. Not just the tuition, but the room and board. So you're going to be paying considerably more if you send your kid to one of the Massachusetts public colleges, and it's all coming. It's coming at you. So there's nothing there for the Biden administration to run on. So they've got to run on the abortion thing. And Donald Trump, ironically, just earlier this week, had a statement about abortion and released his abortion position. And he says essentially that abortion is an issue that should be left to individual states, a position accepted by some leading pro-life organizations, but not all. There are those who want a national ban on abortion, but that would require a constitutional change, a change to the U.S. Constitution, because the Supreme Court in 2022 decided that abortion is not the purview of the federal government, that Roe versus Wade in 1973 was the wrong decision, that it is a health issue that is left up to the states. Okay, so that's what the decision to overturn Roe versus Wade was about. And it happened so close to the 2022 midterms that the Democrats were able to use this as a wedge issue, and it stopped the red wave that was expected, and it really minimalized any pickup that the Republicans would have had in Congress. And so Trump says that the decision should be left up to individual states, and said the issue is about, quote, the will of the people and should be left up to the states to decide. That means individual voters in individual states go to the polls and decide. Now, we go in Massachusetts and you elect people who are either going to legislate a ban on abortion or not. And that's for you to do. Trump said, my view is now that we have abortion where everybody wanted it from a legal standpoint. The states will determine by vote or legislation, or perhaps both, and whatever they decide must be the law of the land, Trump said. This is all about the will of the people. You must follow your heart, or in many cases, your religion or your faith. Do what's right for your family and do what's right for yourself. Do what's right for your children. Do what's right for our country and vote. So important to vote. At the end of the day, it's all about the will of the people. Trump also noted that the issue of abortion is often a deep moral choice for many voters, one way or another. Republicans must, quote, also win elections to restore the culture. And that is the key here. You can't get knocked off kilter by a false narrative that somehow or another abortion is going to be banned in the U.S., because it's not. It never will be. It never will be. But you have to be smart enough to see that. And you have to look through this ruse and understand what is at stake here in your country. But Trump is right. If you run on a hard-ass campaign that they're against all abortions, I'm against all abortion, you're going to lose. You're going to lose because there are not enough people in this country that share that opinion. So you're going to lose every time. And that's what happened in 2022 to a lot of candidates. They ran that type of a campaign and it just didn't work out. People aren't ready for that. They don't want that. You must follow your heart on this issue, but remember, you must also win elections to restore our culture and, in fact, to save our country, which is currently and very sadly a nation in decline, Trump said. Our nation needs help. It needs unity. It needs us all to work closely together. David Axelrod, who former Democrat operative with the Clintons, now a CNN contributor, was on the Situation Room on CNN, said the Arizona Supreme Court upholding a 123-year-old law that bans pretty much all abortions except to save life of the mother was, quote, an earthquake that could tip this election. And he's right. He's absolutely right. Axelrod said this has put the health care of women and peace of mind of women across Arizona at risk. And so we should not forget the substance in this. But as a political matter, this could not be more of a disaster for the Republican Party. What this does is it puts a battleground state more to the leaning D column and then the leaning R column, because I think there's going to be a massive turnout in November for a constitutional amendment in the state of Arizona, because the voters of Arizona now have a demonstration of the fragility of abortion rights in the post-Dobbs era. I think this is an earthquake. Those electoral votes in Arizona could be the ones that tip this election. Now, smart voters will separate the two. Absolutely. Absolutely. Deal with the national issues, the economy, the border, all of those things that are affecting you every day. Deal with that. And then deal with abortion as a local issue. Separate the two. Do not fall for the crap that if Trump is elected, that there's going to be a national ban on abortion, because that's a bold-faced lie. It isn't going to happen, and it can't happen. But deal with the national issues and deal with the abortion issue in your statewide election. That's the only place you can deal with it anyway. That's the only place. You vote for Biden. Biden can't protect abortion rights, because that's not where it is anymore. It's now in the states. So get rid of Biden, put Trump in there, fix the economy, and deal with the abortion at your state level. And listen to Trump when he says you've got to win elections in order to change things. So if you are 100% opposed to abortion, elect people at your statewide level, your state reps, your state senators, people like that, that can do that for you. Trump can't do it for you. Biden can't do it for you. Elizabeth Warren can't do it for you. None of those people can do it for you. It's got to be your state reps and state senators that can deal with the abortion issue. But that's separate from the national issue. Totally separate. And you have to understand that, regardless of what the baloney is that they're going to throw at you out there in the campaign trail. You know, my friends at Kudo Construction Company, unbelievable. They have been working with the folks at Owens Corning for the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project. What is it? Well, it's a way to give back to the community, to our veterans, such as Harry DeSilva. He and his family. Harry DeSilva was a serviceman for many, many years. Kudo Construction Company, recognizing that with a free new roof as part of the Owens Corning Roof Deployment Project that they're involved in. Kudo Construction says we're donating our time to re-roof Harry DeSilva's Marion home with materials donated to Owens Corning to show gratitude to the veterans who served our country and the families who support them. The Roof Deployment Project is a program by Owens Corning, which is partnered with the Purple Heart Homes Honor and help protect deserving military veterans by installing new roofs. I mean, this is a fabulous program. This is a fabulous company, Kudo Construction Company, getting involved in projects like this to help our local folks. Kudo Construction Company, please tell them Barry sent you. All right, quick break. We'll come in.